Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So, welcome to our second class. I hope everyone is doing well. Inshallah, today's class is a very simple. The lesson is very simple. It's a basic lesson. However, it is really one of the foundations when it comes to reading Arabic. So it might be very basic, but if you don't really get a full grip, a complete grip of the concept and its application, it will most likely carry on with you as you go along, because there are many things that will be built on this concept that we'll be doing today. And basically, it's when you look at a text, it's basically part and parcel of any Arabic text, inshallah. Are you guys ready? Can I just get the indication if you guys are ready, inshallah? Okay, excellent. Okay, so I want to start this lesson today with a warm-up exercise, right? Are you guys up for it? Warm-up exercise. This warm-up exercise, the purpose of the warm-up exercise is to give you kind of a hard introduction into the topic today, right? So we don't want to start with explaining. We want to sort of experiencing what we're dealing with today. Okay, Bismillah. Okay, I want you guys to look at this text over here. Now, we haven't done most of these letters. That's fine. We've done about 3 of them, right? And if you've done the exercise, or if you let look at the exercise, you know that we've done about 3 of them, and they're in here. But what I want you to look at now is just basically the structure of this thing and the shapes. Here in front of us, we have an Arabic text made up of letters, right? So it's just made up of letters. No marks, no vowels, no short vowels. I want you guys to look at this text over here. Now, there's a rule to this warm-up exercise, right? As you guys interact, we don't want anyone, the rule is that you cannot use any Arabic terminologies, right? So you cannot use any Arabic terminologies in transliteration. So you have to describe what you see, okay? So if you know, that's fine, but you have to describe what you see. Okay, so what is the difference between these two texts over here, the one at the top and one at the bottom? It's the same text, right? Can anyone or all of you just tell me, what do you see is the difference? In short, the bottom one has symbols. Okay, it's a good answer. Lines. Okay, nice. Yes, no, that's good. Lines. Make markings on top and bottom of the text below. I like that one. Lines, vowels, markings. The bottom one has more lines, right? So it's not accents, right? So stay with us, right? So far, I like the lines, right? Markings at the top and at the bottom. That's yes. So we wanna move with that one over here. Lines on top and the bottom. Okay, let's just confirm that, right? It's not all lines though, there are some other markings. Okay, let's look. See if I can highlight them over here. Okay, so if you just follow that over there, can you see I'm highlighting some marks? And these marks are not found in the text above. I just want you to focus on that. Don't worry about the letters, don't worry about the text, right? Okay. Can you see these markings? I'm highlighting them slowly. All of them. Okay. Now we can see, obviously, there are a lot of markings and there's no pattern. It's not like it's okay, it's all on top or it's all at the bottom, all looks like this or it all looks like that. There isn't really a pattern, right? It's not like, okay, every third one, then it's on top, every third one's the bottom. So let's see. So what we want to do is analyze the text. But I first want to tell you, obviously, if you are a complete beginner, and I'm sure we have some complete beginners, right, with us today, obviously, that exercises look like a bunch of squiggles on top of squiggles, and you most probably felt overwhelmed. That's okay. Let's analyze the text. Okay, so let's analyze these shapes that we spoke about. Okay, let's focus on this one over here. I'm going to take the first one. Well, it's repeated. Okay, so let's take the first three. Is that the same shape? Are those shapes, those three that are highlighted, are they the same? Yes. Okay, we'll agree. Okay, now let's talk a little about the shape. Would you agree with me if I say those shapes over there are basically like a skew dash on top of a letter? You guys agree with me? Yes, no? Yes. Okay, everyone agree. Let's test this theory. Let's see if this pattern repeats itself. Okay, there we have another one, another one, another one, another one. There we go again. Wow, this one is coming up a lot. Again, there's three. Okay, did I miss anyone? Did I miss, is there anything missing? Who can tell us if I'm missing? No, no. Someone says yes. Yes, you missed one. Okay. I was just actually, that was just testing you guys out. Ah, nice. Okay. Okay, so now we got all of them. Let's take it a step further. Let's take these out. So we got this. So the first shape that we saw is a skew dash on top of the letter. Let's take them out of the text. Bismillah. Okay, they're gone. Let's move on to the next shape. Would you guys agree with me that is basically a dash below the letter? Yes. Okay. The dash. Remember, we're looking at shapes now. We're not talking about sounds, nothing, no, nothing. Right? Okay. Most of you guys agree. Let's see if this shape repeats itself. Here we go again. So let's conclude then. The second shape is basically appears as a dash below the letter. Right? Do you guys agree so far? We've done this together, right? So you have to believe me. We found that the second shape is basically like kind of like a dash that comes below the letter. Let's see if it repeats itself. There we go again, again, again. Three over there. There we go. Did I miss one? I didn't miss anything. So I didn't miss anything. Okay. Okay. You guys are sharp. Okay. So there we got everything. Alhamdulillah. Let's move on. Let's take that one out. The dash below the letter, the skew dash. Let's take that out. Okay, let's move on. I want to move on to this one over here. Now, I want you guys to notice something. Let me just go back. If you look at this, look how many there appear. This is something on like a side note. So it will tell you what you should focus on. Can you see that the dash above the letter appeared a lot in this text? We move on to the next one. The dash below the letter appeared less. Okay, let's move on to this one. Would you guys agree with me that this looked like kind of like a skew 9 above the letter or like a ribbon? Do you guys see that? Kind of like a skew 9 or like a ribbon. Either one, right? So it's how you see it, right? So if you see it like a skew number 9, then that is how you see it. If I see it as a ribbon, that's how I see it. There's no one way. Okay, let's see how much it appears. Only 3. So it appears much less. So the first one appears most in a text. Okay, let's take them out as well. The text is just getting empty and empty. Let's look at the last one over here. I think we'll all agree, unanimously agree, that this one over here looks kind of like, it is a circle above the letter. You guys agree with me on there? Circle above the letter. Okay, excellent. Let's see if they appear again. There's quite a few times, but not as many as the first two. Okay, let's take them up. Now, we are actually back to where we started with nothing left. So when you looked at that, when we saw the text, right, and assuming we know all these letters, which is fine if we don't for now, those markings can really overwhelm you sometimes. And it can sort of, you might think that, okay, this is challenging. And that is why, and generally when we're reading, because you would have to sort of focus on these the letters in the lines as well. Okay, let's leave it at that. So I'll bring up the old text again. Okay, someone said it looks like kind of like a comma. We can say that, yes. We can say that, yeah. Oh, you're talking about this comma. Yes, that is a comma. It's an Arabic comma, so it looks different. Okay. So let's just summarize what we saw. We said the first shape we had was a skew dash above the letter. The second shape was a skew dash below the letter. The last shape was a kind of like a ribbon or like a skew number 9. Where was it? Below or above the letter? And I want all the especially those of you who are quite new to the Arabic text, I really want your participation. Okay, it's above. Okay, that's correct. And then the last thing, before we speak about the last one, I want you to know that these guys, the dash above, the dash below, and the sort of ribbon on top, they categorize together in one category called the Harakaat. Don't worry about the name. All that this name means is that these are the short vowels. Okay, and we're going to get to how to apply that and sound, all of those things. For now, we need to know that these guys, they come together under one category called the short vowels. This guy over here, the circle on top, this guy basically represents that this letter don't have any of those vowels on the left. That's what it means. It basically don't have a vowel. That's what that thing is saying. So we want to kind of keep that on one side. That circle over there that represents no vowel on the letter, we want to keep it one side. On the left-hand side here, the harakat, the short vowels, this is what we're going to be focusing on today. The other thing, the circle that represents no vowel, that's going to be in lesson 6. That one looks so simple, right? But that is one of the main things that causes hurdles for us when we learning to read and trying to get fluency. It is that guy over there and another one that is kind of his friend. And we will get there, inshallah. But for now, let's focus on, let's speak about the harakat. Before we speak about the harakat, I forgot to mention this. I want to give you guys a small introduction to this guy over here before we leave it alone, because I don't want you guys to be completely confused if you are new to this. Obviously, if you already know what this is, you will confirm what I'm saying, inshallah. Okay, so this guy basically represents that this letter has no vowel. But what does it mean when it has no vowel? What's the implications of that? It means that this letter has no additional sound. Right? Is everyone with me so far? Okay, excellent. Okay, okay, this is good. Yes, I will give you an example of the sound. Okay, so here we have the letter ba. We covered the ba in the last lesson, right? The letter, just the letter. We never spoke about the sound, right? So the letter ba, we said it has the b sound, right? And we give a few examples. We said like, bus. We said like February, right? And you guys gave us so many words, right? I can't remember all the words. So the letter ba, if the sound of the letter ba, just the letter ba itself is b, nothing more, just the letter ba itself. Remember, without looking at what's on top at the bottom, is just b. Now that circle on top of the ba is telling us just that the letter ba is simply just b. Okay, let's give another example. Letter ta. When the letter ta has that guy over there, we know the letter ta has that sound. Now that is exactly what that circle is telling us, that this letter ta has no additional sound, it's just t. And that's how it's going to be read in a text as well, just t. But as how that is applied, that we will do when we deal, because the application of this one is tricky, but we got a solution to that, inshallah. Last one is the tha. You can see it has the circle on there. So basically, it's telling us that this letter is just nothing extra. Okay. Now we most probably want to talk about the vowels, right? Because the vowels is basically additional sounds, right? So if you think about it, this guy over here, the circle, right, is actually the general or the basic, or say the original rule. The original rule is that the letter has no vowel. When you see the letter, it has no vowel. And even sometimes, right, if you look in the in a text, right, that is generally has vowels on there, if you see a letter without anything on there, you don't even have the circle, you should know that that letter has no vowel. Sometimes they give it the symbol, sometimes they give it no symbol. And in the Quran, in the Mus'haf, right, you will see that the symbol don't look quite like this, right? It looks a bit different, right? And we will speak about that, right, at the end. But you have to know that this is the original shape of the symbol, right? Basic so far. Everyone with me so far, right? We don't get it too much. We're going to speak about this one in detail in lesson 6. I think it's lesson 6, right? Everyone with me so far? Okay, it's very important that you guys are with me, because we're going to take it step by step, right? Because we don't want to go back. You never want to go back to when you to these explanations. We're going to take it step by step. That is why I want to make sure that you guys are with me. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Now let's move on to our discussion of today, right? So that is the harakat, which are basically the short vowels. Very simple, right? Very basic. And most of you already know this, right? This lesson. And if you are a beginner, I do know that you most probably heard some kind of explanation of the harakat, of the short vowels, of these things, right? And repetition is good. And but the key is step by step, right? So let's take it step by step. So let's start with a question. Like we started the previous lesson, we said, what do I need to know? Right? Always, what do I need to know? Because when we ask that question, then we can start learning the right things in the right order, right? In a specific order of importance, right? And give our focus and direct our attention to the things that need it most. Okay. So what do I need to know about the harakat? Okay. The first thing, right, is the symbol. Like we spoke about in the letters. These guys they are really on their own. They are like they are concept, right, that you apply to the letters, right? So the first thing is the symbol. The second thing is the name. Can you guys guess what the third thing is? Okay, so Ikram asked a good question, right? Okay, yes, you guys are right. It's sound. Excellent. So, like, is there a reason why it shouldn't be used, right? So, the Arabic language is like that. That some letters are, you can call it silent, right? And you say that what if many letters have it, right? And then how would you read it, right? No, you will. So it doesn't occur as much as the other vowel. Like the vowels, they occur a lot. The sukoon, what this thing is called, or that thing is called, that circle, don't appear as much, right? But we will get to that. Okay, sound. You guys are all no English equivalent. So it's not with the English equivalent don't apply here, not cursive form. So cursive form is by the letters. Sound. Okay. So you guys, most of you guys got it right. And those of you who didn't get it right, your answer was also brilliant, right? Because it's all about being creative, right? And try to organize the information in a good way and try to make it make sense as well. If it makes sense, it will be easier. Okay, so the sound. The last thing is application and technique, right? So this is how it works. The whole course that we're doing, this whole course is divided into basically letters and then reading concepts. So every second lesson, so the next lesson, we won't do a reading concept. We're going to do letters, right? Then we're going to apply this concept to that letters. The lesson after that, we will do another concept. And then the lesson after that, we don't do another concept, we will do letters and we apply the concept. So it'll be kind of that like a tag team, right? When we will alternate between concepts and letters so that we can really apply them and not move too fast. Okay. Everyone with me so far? That's sweet so far. Yes, application. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about the symbol. The first thing, the symbol. It's the symbol that is in front of you. Now the good news is, and this is the reason why I done the warm-up exercise, is because we basically covered almost everything already, right? There's no need to repeat. So let's just summarize. We said the first symbol, right, is a dash what? Below or above the letter. The first one that we spoke about, above. Okay, you guys are quite right. Okay, what was the second one? Was it a dash? Was it a circle? So it was a dash, skewed dash below, right? And the last one was, what was the last one that we spoke about? It was kind of like a ribbon above. Okay, now take a good look at these shapes, guys. These shapes are very, very important. They appear all the time. You will hardly find a letter without one of these shapes. Either be one of these, or it will have that circle, or it will have these shapes plus another shape added to these. You understand? So most of the time, you're going to be dealing with these shapes. So let's bring a key up here. I don't want to say memorize. I'm telling you, master the symbols and never confuse them, right? That should be your goal. Master them. So when you see that dash on top, you should know that's a symbol. Okay, that's the sound it makes, and you know how to apply it. Okay, everyone got that so far with the symbols. So we said we want to master the symbols and never confuse them. Don't confuse the dash on top for the dash at the bottom and the other one, right? Are the beginners with me so far? Anyone who was a complete beginner? Anyone have any problems so far? Okay. Okay. Excellent. Alhamdulillah. Let's move on to the name, right? Okay, now obviously that guy over there, his name is not Yasin, right? But you get the point. So we're going to talk about the name. And this is very important because the name is really just the name. Remember, we spoke about the letters. We said that the sound of the letter is found in the first part of the letter's name. So like the ba, right? The b in the beginning of ba was the actual sound of the letter. And the t in beginning of ta, t, that's the sound of the letter. However, with these short vowels, these guys, the letter don't have the name of the concept don't have that sort of implications. So the letter's name don't have that, or the concept's name don't have that implications. So then what does that mean? Let's just add the names here. So the dash on top is called a fatha. Now, I don't expect you guys, especially beginners, to pronounce that word perfectly. And don't worry about that because there's a letter in there. Because remember, it's an Arabic word. It's an Arabic name. There's a letter in there that we haven't done yet and you don't have an English equivalent. But try best to say fatha. Fatha. The dash below is called a kasrah. 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 And the ribbon on top is called dhamma. Dhamma. Okay? Now let me tell you something interesting about the names of these. So all of them, they fall under one category called Harakaat, which means short vowels. And then each short vowel has its own name. The fatha, the dash on top, the kasra, dash at the bottom, the dhamma, dash, the ribbon on top. Now here we go. Now the key is memorize the names for learning purposes. Why did I say that? Why did I say for learning purposes? Because the name itself, right, it doesn't have any real practical implications for when we're reading. However, the name does become important when you are learning. So if you, especially when you go on to move on to learn tajweed, then you're going to be referring to the fatha, kasra, then you know what they're speaking about. Because imagine we have to every time repeat, okay, the dash above the line, the skew dash below, the ribbon on top. It's easier to kind of just say fatha, kasra, dhamma, right? Do you guys, are you with me so far? With regard to the names, right? So that's the importance of the names. It really stops there. It's good. You should know them. It will help your learning process. It will make it quicker, right? When you're learning tajweed, especially. But I mean, there's a lot of people, many people that can read Arabic and they don't know the names of these marks, right? Maybe they even call them different things. It depends on where you are in the world. Okay, that's key number 2. So we said the first thing was master the shapes, right? Master the shapes and never confuse them. Number 2, we said that the memorize the names for learning purposes, right? Okay, basic for reference purposes. Okay, now let's move on to the third aspect. We spoke about the symbols, spoke about the names, let's talk about the sound. Okay, equally important as the shape. In fact, they are so closely linked, right? So let's use the name. So the fatha, it's the dash on top. Its sound make an sound. So if you see that dash represents right? Now, okay, take note of this. It's very important to get the correct sound, right? Because even though, I'll put an A over there, this is how it's represented with an A. Even though the A is used, it can be tricky because in English, if we say apple, we say a. Can you hear the difference? A and a. And in sometimes you might even say oh, right? So that could also be an issue. Excellent. Okay, so yes, my camera is on. That's fine. Is there a delay? Okay, I hope there isn't a delay. Oh, okay, sorry, you weren't speaking to me. Okay, so the fatha has an sound. So not and not o. So almost like the when you say aha, right? When you got it, you got an idea, you found it, and you say aha, that right? Okay. The kasra is much easier. So the kasra is just e. So if you speak of it, it's kind of like the IE, right? E, like he, E, it's that exact sound, right? In English, you can kind of also call it like just an I, but this is what it's how it's used in transliteration. So E. So the fatha is the kasra is E, and the dhamma is U, right? U. So the kasra is quite simple, right? You generally shouldn't have an issue there. The dhamma is also, you shouldn't have an issue there as well. U. It's normally the fatha, right? Where you can become, instead of it can become a or a. So we want to be like aha. Okay. Did everyone get that? Okay, everyone with me so far. Okay, alhamdulillah, excellent. Okay, that's good news. Okay, okay, someone is not with me. Okay, excellent, excellent. So let's use the last key. Master these sounds and never confuse them. Simple. You see where the keys were. When you come to this concept, it's so important that you cannot use any other word but master, right? You don't just want to know, you don't just want to kind of know, you want to know well, you just need to master them, and that's it. You need to be like your name, right? You should need to settle for nothing less than absolute perfect memory of these concepts. The shape, link it with a sound. The dash on top is a, the dash at the bottom is e, and the ribbon on top is u. Okay, excellent. So the first one we said was master the shapes, never confuse them. Second one said memorize the names for learning purposes, right? If you and I wouldn't say master the name, because when I say master, I really mean it, right? So for learning purposes, right? And three, we said master the sounds and never confuse them. Now the last thing was the application and technique. Now remember, the concepts will always be applied to the letters. So if you know the letters sound, like we practice, every time we're going to do the letter sound, the ba, ta, tha, we said it's b, t, and th, and then we add the concept. And so we go along, learn the sound, and you add the concept. And the more concepts we add, we're going to apply all of them to all the letters that we covered. Okay. Over here in front of us, I have the letters ba, and then the letter ta, and the letter t, and then the letter tha. Now separate between the letter and the dash on top. There are two separate things, right? So if you look at this with that in mind, you have no reason to be overwhelmed, because these letters could have the same dash at the bottom, or it could have the ribbon on top, right? Okay. So the dash on top is called a fatha. We agreed. Fatha. Okay. So if the sound of the letter ba is b, the sound of the letter ba is b. We're all in agreement with that. And the sound of this dash on top, the fatha, is a. So the ba is b and the fatha is a. They are two separate entities, but here they're coming together. So how do we apply them? We're going to read the sound of the letter and then add the sound of the vowel, right? So not ba. Someone said ba, right? So this is why we're gonna apply, because the ba is b and that fatha is a. It's not a, it's a. So when we add the a to the b, we get ba. Let's see with the ta. So the ta is t, and we add the a, it becomes ta. Okay, if we have the th, th, and we add the a, it becomes tha. Did everyone get that? Is it basic? Is it simple? And that is how you want to be doing it. So let's move on to the next vowel, right? Dash at the bottom, the kasra, over there. There we go. Same letters, same sounds. The ba is still b, and then the ta is t, and then the tha is th. But the sound, now tell me, that dash at the bottom, which sound does it make? Can you guys tell me which sound does the dash at the bottom make? Just type it out there. No, yes, the sound of the dash only, right? Yes, 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 yes. For those of you who are saying the letter E, it's fine. It's different transliteration. It's okay, right? You can use E, but I'm using I because that's what you use most. So now that is why it's very important. So some of you are saying B, you're saying the BI, right? But I'm asking, what sound is the dash? The dash only has an E sound. The letter has a B sound. When we add them together, it becomes B, right? but the dash is just E. This is important because once you understand this, you're able to plug it in on every letter. If you don't learn it like that, if you memorize the pattern, right? If you memorize the letter, the combination, then you would have to do that with all the letters, and it will take too much time for us, for the purpose of this course. That's why we're doing it this way. Okay, so that's a kasra. So if the letter B is a B sound, we add the E, so B and E, B, right? Da has a T sound, so the T and E, T, T and E, T. Same with the Th, right? The Th and the E becomes Thi. Okay? Everyone with me so far? No problems. Okay. Excellent. Let's move on to the next one. Okay. So the ribbon on top is called a dhamma, right? And this dhamma is going to be no different to its other two buddies that we spoke about earlier. It's added to the letter ba, right? It is not the letter ba. It's added to the letter ba. And why is it important? Because there are so many things that can be added to the letter ba, and somebody can add it on to the vowel as well. So it's an addition. So letter ba is b, right? The dhamma is u. So the b and u is bu. And u is tu. And u is thu. Okay. So let's then put that in a key. Let's say key number 4, add the vowel sound after the letter's sound. Right? It's going to be very important when you do, especially the challenging letters. The challenge, because the challenging letters, some students resort to memorizing the letters with it, which is okay, right? But if you do it like this, it will kind of give you more confidence, right, as you practice, because you kind of really know what you're doing every step of the way. So everyone understand this key? Everyone with me so far? Anyone have a problem with it? Okay, excellent. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so let's summarize again. The shapes, the first thing about we said about we want to consider the symbols, and we said master the symbols and never confuse them. Okay, I'll give you that one. What do we say about the names? Memorize the names for learning purposes. Someone's copying and paste there. Right, but good, correct. Okay, the next thing is the sound, right? They said we want to memorize, absolutely master the sound and never confuse them. The sound and the symbols, link them together, never confuse them. And lastly, application, we said the key is add the sound or add the vowel sound after the letters sound. Okay, excellent. I want to do another last thing, right? And this is very important. This is kind of now, it's kind of like another concept, right? And very important, especially when you start reading. We spoke about the letters, like here we have 3 letter bars with a fatha. So that would be ba, ba, ba. Right? Ba, ba, ba. You guys agree with me so far? That is ba, ba, ba. Okay, but what happens when it's joined, when it's in a word? It's in a word like you see over there, right? And we spoke about how the letters join, right? So that shouldn't be strange for you guys. That over there, right? So someone says it's still the same, ba, ba, ba. Kind of, right? Kind of. The thing is, once it joins and becomes a word, right? Now, it might not always be, the letters might not always be joined because some letters don't join to the letter that come after it. They are just like that. There's only a few of them. But the thing is, once they are in a word, they need to be read as if they are a word. Like that over there. Do you see that? So on the right, we have ba, ba, ba. However, once they're in a word, it becomes ba, ba, ba. You guys got that? Once they're in a word, you have to read them with a flow. The Arabic language has a flow, right? So you're going to read them as ba, 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 ba. And I'm going to tell you guys how to work on that. Some of you, I know you would say, oh, I just started now. I can't immediately read with the flow. I'm so struggling with the letters. I'll tell you how to do that right now. So let's just give more examples. So that would be over there, th, and that would be ba, and that would be ta, th, ba, ta. Once they join, they become thabata, thabata. So from thabata to thabata, thabata. The same letter, just read in rapid succession. Okay, last example. So that is thu, right? It's a th with a u, it's thu, right? The b with the e is b, and the with the a is ta, right? So that would be read when we join them, the thu and the b and the ta, it becomes, instead of thu, b, ta, it becomes thu, b, ta, thu, b, ta. Can you see how we flowed through the word? Thu, b, ta. One flow without any pauses. Okay. You guys with me so far? Because we're gonna do a small exercise now. So you guys have to be with me on that. Where's our beginners? How are they doing? Are they with me so far? Okay. Let's do a quiz. Let's do a quiz. Okay, you guys see this word over here. Now, please, no one say the word. Let me take it away. No one, do not say the word, right? I want you to choose your option and remember your option. I give you options over there, right? And I'm going to give you, okay, you guys can type it there. It's fine, but remember it. I'm going to bring up polls up, right? Ah, you guys are too quick. You guys can't all say three. There must be someone saying something else. Okay, I'll give you guys another 5 seconds before I bring the polls up. Okay, so the polls are not working. That's fine. Anyone say anything besides 3, 4, 1? Okay. 1. Okay, this is excellent. So we had, most of you guys, all of you guys said 3. A few of you guys said 1. Now, I like that answer, right? Because that answer is not completely wrong. Not completely wrong, right? If you look at answer number 1, it's beta. So look at the difference between number 1 and 3, beta. And number 3 is written in English as thabita. Number 1 is beta. See, it's missing the a after the letter tha, right? So be cautious of that. So be aware of that. Okay, let's move on to another word. Okay, quickly, guys. Here we go. You can change your mind as well. You can change your mind as long as you see it. Okay, excellent. The correct answer is number 2, right? So this is good. So someone saying number 3. So number 3, you're confusing the last 2 letters, switching them around. You have to look at what's on the middle letter. So it's a letter ba with a a, so it's a b, a, so it's ba. Where number 3 is saying bata, should be ba ba. Okay, excellent. Last one over here. Okay, there's no number 1. So everyone is saying number 4. Wow, you guys are really sure about this. The one for number 2, number 3. Okay, this is correct. Tata bitha. But the important thing is, can you see how I wrote it in one single English word? In the beginning, I kind of separated it, but now it's tata bitha. And that is how you will read it. Tata bitha. As you read it in English there, tata bitha. So imagine if you struggle to put the word together in a flow, imagine it's in English. Now, always don't always rely on the English, because your pronunciation you might get confused with the English pronunciation. But just for the flow, imagine it is one word, tata bitha. So you shouldn't have an issue about that. Okay, now let me go back to, we are basically done now. I just want to go back to, I need to give you guys the kind of the key. I didn't write it as a key, but how to, if you struggle with flow, right? This is the trick, right? So if you see a word like this, ba, ba, ba. Oh, let me bring a more challenging word like here. Let me bring this also over here. Thu beta. Right? So sometimes you read it in a word, you will say thu beta. Now, if you notice, when you read it like that, you didn't join. So you never read it as a word. But it's fine if that is how you're reading and you're practicing, right? And most of the time, if you're reading and just carry on, the flow will come. But if you should take some time where you say, okay, now I am trying to work on that fluency. What you do, all you do is you take it, you start from the beginning and you build on. So then you say thu. Then you say B, the next letter. Then you go back and you say thu B. Then you say the next letter, ta, ta, B, ta, thu B, ta. And then you got that word. And then you repeat that and then you move on. So that is basically the trick of that. That's the end of the lesson, right? Here's some practices for you guys. There's a video I attached. It's in the Google Drive. I will send it again in the group, the link to the Google Drive. I made a video where I read these letters out over here, right? And you can use that to do like this exercise, right? So this is kind of mixed up, right? It's not in a particular order. So you can, for pronunciation, you can watch the video, right? And if you forget the sound of the letter, you can go back to the notes, right? So this is the self-assessment where you can judge yourself if you need to, right? And then this is a very good exercise for beginners, right? You can take you circle the vowels that I'm asking you to circle. So I say, in this case, the fatha vowels. So now I have to engage with this text and look for them and work on that skill of identifying the correct vowel, right? So when you're reading, and this will be a very good exercise. The kasra vowel, the dhamma vowel, and there's a lesson checklist for you, right? Let me speak about this and then I'll get to if you guys have any questions. So here's a reading exercise, right? So I'll send a document in the group after the class, right? To give more information about the reading exercise, remember you can submit them. There are designated tutors that have time to listen to your attempts. If you are, it's not compulsory, so it's optional, right? It's completely optional. It won't have any effect on whether you get a certificate or not. It's just an extra service for you guys there. And especially for beginners, it's highly recommended that you guys do attempt in any way. No, don't worry about how your attempt is, or if you complete the full attempt, try. You'll find the tutor welcoming. You can try many times, especially if you're a beginner. There is no lines. There's no limit. We will help you until you get it, inshallah. So I'll send, so the document is attached in the Google Drive, the exercise, the slides, some summary, the video, everything is there, inshallah. In a document also you summarize how to go about the exercise, how to do it, who to forward it to, when to forward it. Okay, the question, are there any questions? If you guys have any questions, you guys can send it now. So the class is basically ended.